Hi Queens, Sam here. I hope that you're doing good. Today I want to talk about buying versus renting. And that has been top of mind, I'm pretty sure, for a lot of young professionals for many, many years, especially when they start working or they have been in the workforce for few years. They just wondering, should I rent? Should I buy? And especially these past few years with how the housing economy has been acting, a lot of young professional, millennial, Gen Z are just like, pondering with that question. At this point of time, I have a little bit of a saving nest. Should I just go ahead and buy something or should I just continue renting and save more money? And also, if you remember when I interviewed Evelyn a few weeks ago, that for her, for many years, she just rented and she was just saving her money. And the past 2 years now, she literally bought two properties back to back within like a year and a half. So that could be something that you want to consider. But when you're really in that thought process of like renting versus buying, there are many things to consider. So I want to offer, some of those things. I'm pretty sure there are like other ones, and I'll be happy for you to chime in the comments below and let me know what are other things that people should be thinking about when they actually wondering if they should buy or if they should rent their principal residence. Of course, I'm talking about the principal residence because when we talk about investment property, that's a total different discussion. So the first thing that I think people should consider when they're actually thinking of whether buying or renting is their personality and their lifestyle. If you are someone who likes to experience different neighborhoods, different cities, different provinces, within the same country or not, every 2 or 3 years, buying might not be the best bet for you. Because when you buy a property, it's not only you paying for the price of the property, but it comes with so many other costs like lawyer fees, moving costs, land transfer tax, at least in Canada, all of those extra costs that you have to cover. And within 2 to 3 years, you might not be able to recoup any of those costs. If you're okay with that to have some losses in there, that's fine. But then again, renting might be more adequate for your lifestyle because then you don't also have to worry about paying those additional costs. All you have to worry about is paying your rent. The other thing you want to consider when it comes to your personality and your lifestyle is how handy are you? Because when you own a place, it's not a matter of if something is gonna break down, it's a matter of when something is gonna break down. And that could be your roof, that could be your furnace, that could be your air conditioner, that could be your dishwasher, that could be anything in the house. So if you're someone who's really handy and you like to problem solve by yourself, you might be able to save a chunk of money by doing a lot of those repairs yourself. But if you're someone that for each and everything you have to call the plumber, the electrician, the handyman to come and do it for you, that's additional cost that you're going to be incurring while owning the place. And you never know, right, when you buy the place, if it's going to be a place where you're going to be having a lot of repairs to do, because most of the time everything works well until you buy the place. And all of a sudden, you have to change this and you have to change that. That actually happened to me when I bought my own principal residence. Everything was good. We did inspection, everything was good. As soon as that I moved in, within like few months, I had to change the furnace. I had to change the air conditioner. I was like, but everything was working. But then again, who knows, right? So that's what it is, and so you have to be ready for that. So if you're not really someone who's handy, who's going to be relying a lot on professionals and other people to help you with different repairs, then you need to make sure that you have enough money saved aside for those repairs. So ideally you want to have a sinking fund category in your budget where you're putting a little bit in that fund each month or each time that you are paid, just to have a bit of money aside to cover those repairs, because again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the last thing when it comes to your personality and lifestyle that I want to mention is also if you're just someone who can be bothered with like house chores, that actually come with house, like It could be shoveling the snow. It could be, shoveling your parking spot. It could be so many things, right? Because then buying might not be for you. You might just want to rent, and making sure that those services are provided by the landlord, and so you don't have to do anything. So definitely your personality and lifestyle when it comes to you deciding, if you want to buy or rent, is really something to take in consideration, because that will have an impact on your well-being. And so don't lock yourself up into buying a place if really you someone that should be renting, at least for now. The other aspect when it comes to deciding if you want to buy or rent, for me, I think it's the location. So if you someone who's more city, wants to live in the city, maybe in the city, housing, all of the houses are just too expensive, and then at the end of the day, you don't want to have to pay your mortgage and have nothing to eat, nothing for entertainment, or like to just enjoy your life. So maybe renting will be a better decision for you, versus if you're someone who's willing to go a bit further and live in the suburbs. You might be able to actually get places out there that are more affordable, and more in line with your budget. And if you're someone who wants to live in the suburbs, usually in the suburbs also, sometimes you don't find that many rentals compared to the city. So if you really, I want to have a piece of land, I want to have a big backyard, I want to have a pool, all of those things, it's hard to have them within the city, the downtown core of the city. You have to go outside and drive a little bit, go in the suburbs to have more space, more place, just like more room for your pool, your backyard, and whatnot. So automatically, if you want to be in the suburbs, you might not find rentals there. So it might be better for you to just buy at that time. So location is definitely something to consider when you want to decide to buy or to rent. And the last thing that I will share is income taxes, at least for Canada. So here in Canada, if you are renting, you can actually put in your income tax declaration how much you're paying for rent. And depending on your income, you might be able to get a bit of a break with your taxes for that. So if you own the place here in Canada, you don't claim any interest that you're paying on that place. I know in the United States, people do claim interest that they're paying on the mortgage for the principal residence, which is great. But then at the same time, when they sell the place, they have to pay capital gains. Here in Canada, we don't claim the interest that we're paying on our mortgage for our principal residence. But then when we sell our primary residence, we keep all the money. We don't pay any capital gains on that. So I guess I don't know, it's like, depends exactly how you want to see it, but definitely the government is going to be getting, some money. They will be getting some of their money back one way or the other. There is nothing for free. So that's that. So I do believe if you're a high income tax earner and you're living in a high cost of living area, it might be better for you to own, because at that point of time, even if you rent, because your income is so high, you don't really get that much of a break. So it's really something to see with your accountant, sit with your accountant and look at it and be like, okay, well, I'm paying this much for rent right now. I may be able to buy this place, and then I'm gonna be paying this much for mortgage, like just to see essentially what makes sense for you, and if it's worth it for you to actually go ahead and buy a place, or if it's just better for you to continue to rent. So again, it's so many things that you have to look at, and definitely income tax aspect is something that you might want to keep in mind for making that particular decision. So there you have it. Quickly, a couple of things to consider if you want to buy or if you want to rent. Two things I want to mention that I don't personally think that it should be factored in your decision, and sometimes people do, is essentially culture and social pressure. And I'm very serious about that. I've heard so many people saying, oh, well, I'm like in my 30s now, and all of my friends have bought places, and I should be buying a place. There is no reason for that. If you don't really feel the need to buy a place because your lifestyle or your location are not conducive to that, there is no need, because remember, once you make that decision, it's your decision, you on your own, and yes, you do fit in the box of homeowner, like your friends and like your family wants. But again, anything that's going to happen in the house in terms of repairs or whatnot will be on you. So if that's really not something that you want, make sure not to fall prey to that of social pressure and what the family wants and all of those things, because at the end of the day, it's really you who are going to be there. If there is anything, people will help maybe, but it will be, the money will come out of your pocket. So personally, I don't think it should be factored in the decision, but then again, to each its own. The other thing that I also think it should not be factored in the decision is looking at your rent, how much you're paying, and saying, oh, I'm paying $2,000 for rent, and my mortgage payment is roughly, if I buy this place, my mortgage payment will be roughly $2,000. That's not really, comparing apples to apples, because at the end of the day, yes, your mortgage payment, if you buy a place, is $2,000, but there's so many other costs that you have to essentially, like I say, factor into it. You have to pay insurance for your house. If there are repairs, you have to pay for that. There's so many other costs that comes with owning that you don't have when you actually rent a place. So except if you don't really want to go through the exercise and try to like find approximately how much for repairs, which honestly you don't know until it happens, all of those things. It's really, like, I've heard people say that, right? Like, I pay $2,000 for rent, mortgage payment is going to be $2,000, I might as well buy. It may or may not work, but I don't think the decision should only be based on that, or that honestly it should even be factored in that. At the end of the day, you just want to look at your mortgage payment and see if you can afford it based on your budget, not compare your mortgage payment to your rent. To me, it's two different things, because again, there are so many other factors that comes into whether you rent or whether you buy. So there you have it. When it comes to renting or owning, I hope that this was helpful to you if you're like in that process of thinking about it. Don't forget that when it comes to building wealth, owning your principal residence may or may not contribute to it. It all depends. I have friends who have bought really early in their really early in their career, and unfortunately they were like in places where housing was not the greatest, and at the end of the day, the price of the house hasn't changed that much. So, but at the end of the day, the thing is, like, for them it was their principal residence where they had their kids. So there's much more that goes into you buying a house as your principal residence versus buying it as an investment property. So let me know what you think of those tips. And I'll finish by just sharing with you that if I were to consider all those criteria early on before buying my own place, I would have probably continued renting, just because I'm no handy person. And not to say I don't think my lifestyle is really to change places every 2 to 3 years, but definitely the repairs that come with owning a place can be something that can be really daunting. And personally, I prefer to just let someone else do most of the repairs, which I've done throughout the years with my principal residence. And I had to pay for that, and that's fine. That's a decision that I've made, instead of maybe trying to fix it myself or whatnot. I just decided to allocate my time to something else. So let me know what you think of those tips. Share in the comments below if you have any other tips when it comes to buying or renting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell for my next video. And until next time, keep on building wealth.